This is a CBS7 First Alert Weather Day. Now, an update from the First Alert Weather Center.
You're looking now at a wall of dust blowing across West Texas. This was taken in Reeves County earlier this morning. All throughout the Permian Basin, strong gusts of wind have blown into town. Meteorologist Justin Lopez is in the CBS7 First Alert Weather Center. Justin, we've had a lot of crazy wind today.
Yeah, that's right, Lauren. We've had a lot of really strong gusty winds all throughout our area. Some of it was damaging as well. We're looking at those red flag warnings that are still up until just around 10 p.m. this evening. We're seeing those because of the fact that we have really low relative humidities, less than 10% in these areas, and winds that are gusting still up to around 65 miles per hour in some spots. Those wind hazards right now, though, we have now lost a lot of our wind advisory, but we're still dealing with our wind warning, high wind warning across this area. Wind gusts are still possible, but anywhere between 60 and 70 miles per hour in those areas in the pink. Those wind gusts for today, we saw a peak wind gust of 56 miles per hour in Odessa, 55 in Midland. We got up to 64 miles per hour out near Carlsbad, but then our strongest wind gusts that we've had so far being reported came from Pine Springs, Texas, where we saw wind gusts of up to 83 miles per hour. Looking at those winds right now, they have started to calm down a little bit. We still have gusts up to around 31 miles per hour near Midland and in Big Spring. We're still gusting up to around 23 miles per hour near Presidio, but as you can tell, those winds are starting to calm down in the western portions of our area. So again, that is part of our big weather headlines. We're going to start seeing those winds calm down as we go into the overnight hours, especially after midnight. Then we're going to see a warming up trend throughout the middle of the week, especially by Thursday. We'll see those temperatures in the mid 60s. But then we start getting into our next cold front by around the end of the week.
Thank you, Justin, and thank you for joining us on CBS7 News at 9 on the CW and live on the CBS7 YouTube. We'll have another First Alert weather update for you in just a few minutes, but right now, let's take a look at some overnight news. Last night, the West Odessa Volunteer Fire Department and Odessa Fire Rescue responded to a structure fire in the 9000 block of West Hudson. The fire was put out quickly, the damage was limited, and no injuries have been reported. And according to our partners at KBS Media in Big Spring, Howard County firefighters put out a 100-acre fire yesterday between Salem Road and Moss Lake Road. Howard County Volunteer Fire Department were helped by the Howard County Road and Bridge Department and Keystone Energy.
We're excited about 2024. We feel like we finished 2023 really strong and have a lot of momentum headed into this new year.
Today, Mayor Lori Blong spent some time thinking about what she wants to achieve for the city of Midland in those remaining 51 weeks. The major goals circle around spending money the right way. Mayor Blong wants to finalize a plan for the fire pension fund, start the groundbreaking for a few projects in the works, and stick to the comprehensive strategic plans the city is laying out for the year.
We're going to be making those plans intentionally with a perspective of the whole rather than just the parts. And so we believe that the comprehensive capital improvement plan as a part of our strategic plan is really a key to being able to move forward with confidence.
The mayor and city council wanted the plans to be a collaborative process that the city can look back on throughout the year so nothing is missed. And continuing with news around town, in November of 2022, it was reported that Midland had just over 117,000 employees. In 2024, that number has risen to 122,400 employees. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the city of Midland had a 4.7% gain in employment this November, which was the 6th largest across the nation.
This is the highest I've seen it. So we have tremendous growth, all over.
The growth of jobs has positively impacted the city, with more restaurants, hotels, and apartment complexes coming into town. This has also led to education growing with the passing of school district bonds and college pipelines in West Texas. That's helped students in the area after graduating.
You only have so many pipelines. The community colleges, Texas Tech, UTBB, the independent school districts. And so when you look at that, I think Midland has about 28,000 students that's coming out. We have to encourage those individuals to go into the right demand occupation.
Right now, some of the more popular jobs in Midland are the oil and gas, as well as education, healthcare, and transportation. But one of the fastest growing and highest paying jobs is accounting.
We talk about our loved ones and how they're no longer here. not everybody gets the message, but if one person gets the message, that's what matters. I hope that they do. I hope that they don't have to see tragedy like we've seen.
It's a story you'll only see on CBS7. One local organization is making an impact in the Permian Basin, and now they're heading to Africa to continue to relay their message. The 111 project has traveled around schools in the Permian Basin, teaching kids and families about the dangers of fentanyl. Michelle Watson, the founder of 111, lost her son due to fentanyl poisoning. One of her son's dreams was to eventually visit Africa, and although he was never able to go, his mom will, to share her story and help prevent this drug from entering Nairobi, Kenya. Nairobi doesn't have a fentanyl issue at the moment. However, there are bigger parts in Kenya that has seen more and more people using drugs. They fear that it can eventually lead to locals using stronger drugs like cocaine, crack, or fentanyl, which is why they want to prevent it before an outbreak.
In Mombasa, there is a drug threat, with fentanyl, and it's most likely headed that way. And so we want to bring light. We're going to partner with Farova Developmental Initiative, which is his nonprofit, and bring some education and awareness to fentanyl before it hits Nairobi.
Watson will leave for Kenya at the end of the month. She'll speak to classes, soccer clubs, and parents in town. And the White House is calling on Congress to increase funding to crack down on fentanyl trafficking. The Biden administration is requesting a $1.2 billion funding package to stop the flow of fentanyl into the country. That money would then go towards supporting an additional 1,300 Border Patrol agents and deploy new drug detection machines. Republicans say there's no need to increase funding at the border and argue the best solution would be to let less people into the country. The Biden administration says only 2% of personal vehicles and 17% of commercial vehicles crossing into the U.S. are screened for illegal drugs like fentanyl.
The president wants to make sure that every vehicle that needs to be inspected for drugs gets inspected. And that's what he's asking Republicans to do. And we hope that we can agree on that 2% is not acceptable, 17% is not acceptable, but something that has happened through past administrations.
The White House says about 90% of fentanyl coming into the country arrives through legal ports of entry. And continuing across Texas, fire officials say some kind of gas explosion rocked a downtown Fort Worth hotel earlier this afternoon, injuring about 21 people and shocking the entire city. One person was reported to be in critical condition. CBS News correspondent Jason Allen is in Fort Worth with the latest.
The huge blast at a historic hotel filled downtown Fort Worth streets with large chunks of the building and other debris. Dozens of firefighters responded to the area Monday afternoon, helping transport the injured to nearby hospitals.
This is still a very active scene.
The Sandman Signature Hotel is more than a century old and in a busy part of the city, about a block from the Fort Worth Convention Center.
Again, we have not made 100% determination, but we wanted to make it clear that this was some type of gas explosion, and we're still working on the details of that to figure out what all caused that.
Firefighters had to make their way through destroyed drywall, broken glass, and twisted metal that covered the street outside the 245-room hotel. Other nearby businesses were also damaged in the blast. At one point, there was a fire inside the building, which firefighters put out. Police taped off the area as response teams searched the wreckage. Officials say a restaurant in the building had been under construction, but said it was not definitive that that's where the blast occurred. Jason Allen, CBS News, Fort Worth, Texas.
In 1979, the hotel was placed on the National Register of Historic Places. And at the border, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas traveled to Eagle Pass for a first-hand look at immigration enforcement efforts. In remarks today, Secretary Mayorkas praised Border Patrol officials who dealt with a record number of migrants coming across the southern border into the U.S. in December. He called the immigration system outdated and broken. He called on Congress to do their part to implement much-needed reforms.
We need Congress to provide the supplemental funding that President Biden requested months ago. We need more Border Patrol agents and more case processors so that the agents can be out in the field doing the heroic work that is their fundamental mission.
A CBS News poll finds 3/4 of Americans describe the border situation as very serious or a, quote, crisis. Republicans in Congress have announced impeachment proceedings against Mayorkas for what they call his failure to enforce the nation's existing immigration laws. And you're looking now at today's top headlines, shown here in real time with real viewers on CBS7.com. You can see all these stories and more by downloading our app or visiting our website, CBS7.com. Still ahead, nearly 70 million people across the nation are at risk for severe weather. We're tracking those storms next on CBS7 News at 9. More than 70 million people in the United States are at risk for severe weather as the week begins. The storm's barreling from the southwest to the northeast, bringing threats of tornadoes, damaging winds, flooding rain, and even blizzard conditions, as it is expected to cover more than 1,800 miles in just 72 hours. Emily Schmidt has more on what could be in store.
On a day football fans came to Houston for the College Football Playoff National Championship, the threat of severe weather came too. The Storm Prediction Center posted the first tornado watch of the year for nearly 9 million people, including those in Houston, for a system packing different potential punches along its way.
Hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Milwaukee's getting out snow gear. Winter weather alerts in place through Tuesday evening could bring parts of the Midwest up to 11 inches of blowing snow.
It started out slow, but it's been building. Everybody's starting to get prepared.
Sections of interstates in Colorado, Kansas, and New Mexico shut down in blizzard warnings. More than 100 miles closed in both directions in Kansas. In Iowa, with the Republican presidential caucuses 1 week away, candidate Nikki Haley's campaign canceled an event due to the storm, drawing criticism from another candidate.
If you can't handle the snow, you're not ready for Xi Jinping. That's my view.
Predictions of what could lie ahead are striking and being taken seriously. Louisiana State University closed midday Monday due to the severe weather forecasts, while Florida's Department of Education announced at least 23 school districts will close Tuesday. Florida saw over the weekend that January tornadoes can happen. This EF0 twister spent about 3 minutes on the ground in Fort Lauderdale Saturday. That system dumped enough snow on the Northeast that some spent Monday without power, appreciating the winter force of nature. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
On the other hand, some parts of the Northeast have extended record-breaking snow droughts. Central Park in New York hasn't measured an inch of snow or more in a single day for the past 693 days. The old record was 383. Baltimore and Philadelphia have logged 708 days, nearly 2 years without an inch of snow on a single day.
And luckily, we're not dealing with snow out here, but we are still dealing with some pretty strong gusty winds. Coming up next, we'll talk about when these winds are expected to calm down and what we can expect in the next couple of days.
This is a CBS7 First Alert Weather Day. Now an update from meteorologist Justin Lopez.
Good evening, everybody. Today was a pretty gusty day out there. We had a lot of flying dust across our area. We still have the red flag warning up for our region, for these areas in red. Winds are still possible of gusting up to around 60 miles per hour, but those humidity levels are really bone dry right now. So that's what's prompted this red flag warning. Now looking at those maximum wind gusts for today, we got up to 56 miles per hour here in Odessa, 55 out near Midland and in Alpine, 49 out there in Presidio. We had a strong wind gust of 64 miles per hour near Carlsbad, but our strongest wind gust came from the Guadalupe Pass area with 83 miles per hour earlier today. Now looking across our map right now, those winds have begun to taper on down. We're still gusting up to around 31 miles per hour near Midland and 26 out near Big Spring, 21 near Presidio, and gusting up to around 31 in Big Lake. Everywhere else has seen those wind gusts tapering on down. But our future windcast is showing, our future winds are showing that we're going to continue to see those winds calm down throughout the rest of the evening tonight as that storm system finally makes its way out, and we're going to be waking up to much calmer conditions. But those temperatures across the area right now, 38 degrees in Midland, 39 in Odessa, 39 near Monahans. We're below freezing right here in Marfa with a temperature of 29 degrees, but meanwhile, Brazil, you're looking at a temperature of 44 right now. Those wind chills, though, are well below freezing for some spots right now. 29 degrees in Andrews, 28 in Midland. We're looking at a wind chill value of 20 degrees near Marfa right now, and Presidio with a wind chill of 37. By the morning hours, it's going to be a very, very cold one out there, so make sure you're grabbing those jackets because we'll have wind chill values overnight tonight around 22 degrees in Pecos, 23 in Midland, Odessa. We'll be rebounding, however, in the early morning hours by around 10, 11. We'll finally reach out of the freezing mark, but Marfa, y'all are going to be one of the coldest spots. Y'all are going to be seeing those temperatures, wind chill values of around 13 degrees overnight tonight. Looking at our Weathermakers map, we're finally on the other side of that storm system. As you can see, it's starting to make its way out right now of our area, but we are under that dry flow on the other side of it. And we're going to see a ridge of high pressure build in behind this system. So that's going to be allowing our temperatures to rebound a little bit over the next coming days. And finally, those winds are going to be calming down. Looking at our West Texas satellite and radar, we still have a couple of snow flurries out there in the very top portions near the north of Hobbs Otherwise, we're looking at clear conditions, and we're going to continue to see those conditions clear up as we go through the overnight hours and into the day tomorrow. And the rest of the evening, we're going to see those temperatures finally tapering on down to around 30 degrees by 4 in the morning. Again, it's going to be very cold out there. We're going to see highs of 50 degrees tomorrow, 50 in Midland, 52 out near Monahans, 56 out near Presidio. Sunny conditions, calmer winds, and we're going to see those temperatures rise up. By Thursday, we will be around 64 degrees before our next cold front makes us chilly for Friday, and we even have a chance of some polar air coming into our area by next Monday.
If you're flying this week, you can expect cancellations and delays. The chaos and uncertainty comes in air travel. Comes as Boeing grounds its 737 MAX 9 planes after a door plug detached during an Alaska Airlines flight. We've got the latest on this incident next on CBS7 News at 9. More than 100 Boeing 737 MAX 9 jets were grounded today, following a terrifying Alaska Airlines incident. A plug door blew off as the plane was taking off from Portland, Oregon on Friday. Pilots also reported pressurization warnings 3 times in the last month. CBS's Chris Van Cleve reports, and it's not the first snag for Boeing 737 MAX 9.
Our first look at the crippled Alaska Airlines 737 MAX 9. Investigators say damage like this mangled seat has been found in nearly every row. Nicholas Hoke was on the flight Friday night.
A loud boom, or almost like a mini explosion, happens abruptly.
It was a 63-pound piece of the plane known as a plug door blowing out at 16,000 feet, leaving a gaping hole, forcing the 171 passengers and 6 crew to don oxygen masks.
Alaska, we're declaring emergency. We're descending down to 10,000 and we need to return back to Portland.
Saturday, the FAA grounded all 737 MAX 9s in the U.S., 171 of them for further inspections. Boeing says it fully supports that decision, and safety is our top priority. In March 2019, The MAX was grounded for 619 days after 2 deadly crashes linked to a design flaw in the plane's flight control systems killed 346. The plane is still here at the Portland airport. It's been pulled over by a hangar where investigators have been working. You can see where that plug door is missing. The door was found late Sunday night. NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy. What happens if it had been at cruise altitude?
At cruise altitude, we could have lost the aircraft. At that point, the pressure differential is so great that the explosion would have been extremely violent, extremely.
The plane is just weeks old. The NTSB says when that piece blew out, it did so with so much force, it ripped open the locked fortified cockpit door 26 rows away. Boeing is planning a safety summit on Tuesday stemming from this incident. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Portland.
Still ahead, it's never too early to start thinking of the perfect Valentine's present. Coming up next, we've got a look at Hershey's newest treat. The year is just starting, but Valentine's Day is already right around the corner. And Hershey's has some gift ideas for you. For the first time ever, the Hershey's brand and Snoopy the dog are teaming up to celebrate moments of togetherness and friendship with new Hershey's Kisses Milk Chocolate with Snoopy and Friends foils and a heart-shaped box. Now, I'm a really big fan of Charlie Brown and Snoopy, and I really love chocolate, so I think I would be a really big fan of this. I'm gonna hint that at, at my Valentine, see if we can get him to catch on, although I'm pretty sure he's watching the football game and not the newscast. Are we gonna have some Valentine cuddly weather coming up in the next couple days?
Well, for tomorrow maybe, but then we're going to see our temperatures kind of start to rebound. We'll start to warm up right out in front of our next cold front that comes in on Friday. But then look at that, we start to see our potential for an Arctic cold front coming into our area.
Perfect. Well, thanks for watching CBS 7 News at 9 in the CW. We've got more news coming up on CBS 7 News at 10.